and welcome to another episode of Superb Woman Sundays at 7. I'm your host, Janet Neal, the founder and queen bee at the Superb Woman Incorporated. I'm so glad that you've joined us. Tonight, my guest is Ariel Hyatt. You'll learn more about Ariel in just a minute, but Ariel is another example of a superb woman, and the reason I'm doing these shows. I have met women who exemplify this concept that I want to get out there, that of a superb woman. We all know people who are trying to be super women. I was one of them. And may I just say, it is an unsustainable model. Super women are all about do. It's all about what something or someone outside of yourself has told you you should do. And it only results in burnout and frustration. A superb woman, though, is a woman who has taken the time to understand who she is, what her values are, what her goals are, her strengths, her talents, and then crafts and lives a life according to those. She has learned to be herself. It is all about the be. Hello and welcome to Superb Woman Sundays at 7. I'm Janet Neal. And I am so excited to be here with my guest, Ariel Hyatt. Ariel is the founder of Cyber PR, and we are going to hear her story. Ariel and I met actually through her mother. Her mother is Ariel Hyatt, and when you're done watching this video, go back and go find Carol's video as well. So Ariel comes from very good stock, I'll just say that. And Ariel, I have gotten to know, we've been on a panel discussion together, and I was grateful to be at her book launch, and this is her latest book, CrowdStart. It's the ultimate guide to a powerful and profitable crowdfunding campaign, and we're going to hear more about that. But she's a woman who's been involved in various capacities in the PR area, social media now. And Ariel at one point had the $1 million business, had it all, working with performing artists, musicians, and then realized that maybe that wasn't it. And now is living the life that she's always wanted to live. So Ariel, welcome, and tell us, how did you go from seemingly having it all to now really having it all?
I think that there's something that happens, especially if you are a curious entrepreneur and someone who values educating yourself. People that are watching us right now are those people. So, hi. And what happens when you're growing your business is, of course, the question of bigger, getting bigger, scaling up, making more. How do you touch and move more people? How do you make a giant impact? And so the message that we all receive is bigger is better. Right. And my company just turned 20 in 2016.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And about 6 years ago, we had been chugging along a little bit, hovering above the $500,000 gross mark a year. And I decided I wanted to go for it. Why couldn't I be like all those 7-figure businesses?
Right.
So I pushed really, really hard. I hired a consultant. We figured out how to scale, and we did it. And I learned so much from having $1 million company. And the biggest lesson that I learned was bigger is not better for everyone. And we are a service-based business, so we're not a business that is like selling widgets. We have to really deliver with a personal high touch to our clients. PR and social media takes incredible amounts of time and love and energy. And so to get to $1 million meant I needed to literally be, and we also work for independent musicians and small music apps and music industry related clients. So they don't have a lot of money. So to scale up with a giant population that doesn't have tens of thousands of dollars to spend at a time meant that I had a churn rate that was very, very high. And so basically to do $1 million, I didn't get off the phone for months. Started early in the morning, all day, talking to potential clients, talking to them about working with my business, signing them up. And by doing that, I stopped doing all the things that brought me joy and all the things that I loved that don't necessarily pay me directly, but are the reason why I started a business in the first place. Speaking, traveling, writing books, writing blogs, being in service to people that can't afford what I do.
Right.
And all of that had to go away. I had to get off the road. I had to stop traveling, and I just had to be on the phone. And at the end of the year, when we tallied all the receipts, yes, we had done a very big number, but the problem was I had no joy left. I was exhausted, burned out. And inevitably, when you have 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 clients, a few of them are going to be very needy, and that's just how it is. So that comes into play. And then there's always going to be people that aren't happy. So that was really, really hard for me. So we scaled back, and I took it back down to over that $500,000 a year gross mark. And that's my zone. Maybe in another time in my life, I'll scale back up. Right. But right now, that's where I'm happiest. That allows me to have enough. The message of more isn't always great. Right. And it allows for me to do the things that I enjoy and love, and actually spend time with the people in business and out of business that I enjoy, and have exploratory meetings and get out of the house. So all those things are valuable. Right.
Well, I mean, thank you for that, because that is like the textbook answer on what is a superb woman. It's all about the beat. It's all about finding out what's right for you, and then crafting and living your life according to that. So that's a great message, that more is not always the best thing. Could be, but it depends on you. So tell us more about what your life looks like today. So your business is scaled back, and it's at a manageable size that's right for you. And I know something else big happened to you recently.
Yes, indeed. I got married a few weeks ago.
Yay.
And, I'm in my 40s, so I was classic workaholic, fully focused on career. This is my first marriage, and his too. So that is another thing that I think is part of a vital lesson that you learn. I know that my mother, when she talked to you, you guys had a conversation a little bit about balance, and my mom is an entrepreneur, so I'm a second generation entrepreneur. And I think the secret that no one tells you is balance is BS. And the way that my mom says it is the way that I think I've best seen it, which is, how does a tightrope walker get across the tightrope, right? You have your pole. You're not going straight with the straight pole. Right. In a straight line, right? Sometimes you're over here, and sometimes you're over here, and sometimes you're about to fall off the wire. Yep. And that's very much like business. Sometimes you're client focused, sometimes you're product focused, sometimes you're marketing focused. Yep. And it's never all firing in the same percentages. So the last couple years for me have been about figuring out, I really always wanted to be married, and why wasn't I? And that took me away from, being on the road, being, touring all the time, talking all the time. I had to talk to myself, and talk to my fiance, and build something. Right. You don't just randomly get married. That takes something. Yeah. So that's another sort of giant life lesson. And for those of us that have kids, you learn there's times Sheryl Sandberg, leaning in and leaning out. And I mean, same thing with balance. So that I think is another giant lesson, that if traveling the world is your number one thing on your list, which it was for me for many years, there was always a price to pay when I came back home to a busy office and clients and all that. It's just like anything. So taking time off to focus on getting married has been a big part of 2016 for me.
Excellent. So when we talk about, how you get to where you are in life, a superb woman has realized she cannot do this by herself. So who has helped you on your path?
The first thing I will say is I'm a collaborative person. I think women naturally are. I don't enjoy doing my work without a team. Even though I don't have partners, I'm the head of the team. it sucks when I don't have people around. I like that energy. So the first people that come to mind are everyone that works with my company, our freelancers, our consultants. I couldn't possibly be this productive without them. And those, those also change and ebb and flow over the years. Editors come and go, graphic designers, web designers, but huge part of my journey. Of course, shout out to my mom. There's a very interesting statistic about entrepreneurs that many of us manage to go out and strike out on our own because there's a role model somewhere in our history.
Yep.
I went to a very interesting conference a couple of weeks ago, and that was a big topic. Most female entrepreneurs now are in surveys are citing their dads, so their fathers were somehow entrepreneurial, of course, because there's not that many women out there. But so for me, my mom, having someone who did it, there wasn't a lot of fear in taking the risk because it was done in my own home growing up. So that's a huge person. And then there have been some exceptional colleagues. There's a woman by the name of Millie Milgate, she works in Australia. She's one of the most important women in the music industry there. And she has been a massive cheerleader for me. She brought me to Australia multiple times to talk to artists, and it's just been great. So I think other women really stand out for me in the music industry who've been incredibly helpful as well.
Fabulous. And, to your point about female entrepreneurs having fathers that influence them, I have found that if I was to go back and review all of the interviews that I've done over these past few years, probably the majority would be their fathers, but probably most likely because their mother was not an entrepreneur. Or maybe wasn't even working, was a stay-at-home mother. So you have a unique situation where your mother was really one of the first female entrepreneurs that was out there. I mean, literally wrote the book on it. And myself as well. And my mother didn't become an entrepreneur until she was 50 years old. But
so I love your story. It's so amazing.
But that was what encouraged me, that made me feel like, oh, if she could do that, I could do that as well. So I am very hopeful that with more and more women becoming superb women, being these role models such as yourself, that we can't help but be examples for other young women coming up the pike. So thank you for all that you are doing right now to help other women coming up the way. So another thing that we talk about with superb women is that they have learned to let go of the shoulds in their life. So what about you? Do you have some shoulds maybe that you've let go of or in process of letting go of?
Well, we already talked about one. I should be running a seven-figure business. I called a dear colleague of mine a few weeks ago, and I was like, just chatting about business. And he goes, I don't understand why you don't have a $10 million company. And I thought, okay. But yes, that was a big one. That was a big one. And then the one I always struggle with, which is I should be doing more. And as a social media person and someone who consults on social media, that is sort of the endless problem with social media. It's like, you should have cross-posted that on LinkedIn, and you should have tweeted that 50 extra times. So that comes into play too. And marketing can be a deep world of shoulds, all those missed opportunities in marketing. So good is good enough is a big one for me. I'm grateful that I'm not a perfectionist. If it went out with a typo on it, I understand that people will forgive me. So I'm good at self-crucifixion, but I'm also good at sort of understanding good is good enough. And it's about the vibe and the essence, and less about the, being perfect all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. To your point, I just want to give you a little extra PR here as well, though. But to your point about marketing, there's always those shoulds. I have found that you don't have to do it all yourself. And that if you hire someone such as Cyber PR to help you do those things, then you're not going to get caught in the shoulds. You let somebody else do the shoulds for you.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit, speaking of your company, tell us a little bit more about it, what you do, and who you work with, how you help others.
So we still serve a lot of people in the music business, and musicians and creatives. They're all creative entrepreneurs, which is why I was so excited when I started working with female entrepreneurs. It's my newer lane, and one that is really dear to me as well. And that is, women are, I think we're naturally more creative in business. And my favorite type of female entrepreneur is a woman that has a lot going on offline, and they haven't quite figured out how to translate their essence and their influence status online.
Yep.
And so we help. The first thing I do is literally lobotomize half of my female entrepreneurs. They come to my home, and we sit down for a day. And the thing that's amazing about marketing is there's usually something very personal getting in the way when you're stumbling around with marketing. You're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, you don't look good enough on camera, you're not clever enough, you don't have anything to say. You know, all of these things are things that come up all the time. So you have to kind of get that stuff out of the way before you can be effective. So I do that. That's step one in how we help people. We get all those, the shoulds, and also the fear. There's women of a certain age. Don't tell your age. Don't say you have kids. Don't say any of it. That was how a whole generation of the women that are slightly above my age, the baby boomers, think and feel. And still, it's extraordinarily uncomfortable. They don't know what to say. And then we see, of course, the oversharing. And then that causes us to bristle a little. We don't want to look like those people. So step one is get all your objections out of your mind. Figure out where you're most comfortable. That's the marketing lane. And then we put together, how do we raise your influence online? Who are you connected to? Who should you be connected to? What are your messages? What should you be saying? What type of owned content is the right type of owned content for you? And we help roll it out, create it, and put it up at the right time and place. And then we also help with branding if that's a problem. And all the things that go into what do you do before you even click your marketing lights on.
Excellent. So that's great. So one thing we had talked about a little bit earlier, and you had mentioned it when you were talking about the shoulds, is gratitude. How does gratitude factor into your life?
The minute you get out of gratitude, that's when it all goes bad. All goes south. And it's so easy. I mean, especially for those of us who are type A, ambitious women. All women, I think, do this. And you constantly have that list going in your head of all the things you didn't accomplish or the things you didn't get to and the way it didn't work out and the way you wanted it to. What you focus on expands. And when you get out of gratitude and when you are not grateful for what you have, even if it's the tiniest thing, it goes badly. So whenever I have a dark day or I'm feeling sad or depressed or it didn't work out, I go to a notebook, I open up the page, and I write gratitude as much as I can, a list. I'll even do this on the subway because the subway is not a happy place. People are annoyed, no one's smiling, everyone's crammed in. I will just take out my notebook and go, okay, from wherever I am now till I get off this stop, I'm going to make a list. I'm grateful for the rain today. I'm grateful that the subway came and I didn't have to wait more than 5 minutes. I'm grateful for this adorable kid across the way, smiling and laughing, whatever it is. Write till your hand falls off. So I do keep gratitude lists. My husband and I are throwing a gratitude dinner for the people in our lives this holiday season, just because we're grateful for those people in our lives. We just like to keep gratitude present.
Very nice. Yeah. Very nice. I like that. I'll have to, I'm going to be on the subway later today. So
do it. And it's great when you can just, another thing I learned, I went to a women's circle a few weeks ago, and Hope is this amazing woman. She has a gratitude practice that's amazing. She says, don't just write the gratitude. but write the reason why you're grateful for it. So I'm grateful for blah, 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 because.
Yeah.
And really go in there. And that's been a newer practice I've put into place, which I absolutely love as well.
Yeah, that's nice. That's great. So what else is going on for you? What's next for you? I know this book, this is a wonderful book, by the way. So if any of you are thinking of doing a crowdfunding campaign, I would highly recommend this book. Having done a crowdfunding campaign about 3 years ago, I wish I had had this book.
Yeah.
I probably would have been more successful. So just launched this. I know you've got some online training that you're doing.
I do.
Tell us what's going on.
So CrowdStart, even if you're not thinking of crowdfunding, but you need to have a larger crowd around you and you don't quite know how to do that, the first part of that book is all about how do you build a crowd. And I talk specifically about each social platform one by one: LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, all of the usual suspects, and how do you best optimize so you can grow on each platform. And when you buy the book, you can buy the book at Amazon. Just come to my page. I am giving away an 11-part training series that helps you, called Social Media Tune-Up. And that is just me giving it my all. So it's the first part of the book sort of illustrated in videos, and there's action sheets. So you can download for every video and keep yourself accountable on each platform. And it's an 11-day online email course. So I'm offering that, and I'm also offering swipe files. So if you do want to do a crowdfunding campaign, the thing that surprised me the most was the actual amount of communication that needed to happen during the 30 days. It's not just about send an email here and there. It's about really every single day making sure you're communicating with someone. So I have a lot of email templates, the ones I use to raise $62,000, and I deliver those to you as well. And you can copy and paste them and edit them to your liking. And if and when you are ready to do your crowdfunding campaign, I basically did it all for you. You just make it your own and off you go.
It's fabulous. It's very, very helpful. And here, I'm just going to read this because I'm pretty impressed. On the back cover, Seth Godin gave you a quote that says, "Read chapter 3. When in doubt, reread it. Here's the truth about what you'll need to know to earn the right to crowdfund your project." If any of you know who Seth Godin is, this is pretty impressive.
I fell off my chair when that quote came in.
Yeah, that's fabulous.
It's really, really amazing.
Well, this is great. Ariel, you're just doing wonderful things, and I love your spirit. I love your energy. Ariel is a woman who gives back. She is a woman who, walks the talk, and just a wonderful example of this concept that I'm trying to get out there of a superwoman. So thank you so much for being a part of our show today.
Thank you.
And for more information, we're going to have a slide at the end of this so you can get more information. Please go check out her website. Tell us the website.
It's arielhyatt.com.
Excellent. And buy the book. Buy the book. It's a great book. So thanks again. And for those of you out there, thank you for joining us, and come again next week for another superb woman. And until then, have a superb week. Take care.